All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, and we're finally back with more of my MCU Road to Avengers Endgame movies. We're reviewing everything in the order that they came out, and we have finally made it to Captain America the Winter Soldier, one of my personal favorite movies, directed by the Russo brothers, their first foray into the MCU, not their last. And I hope that I hope Marvel gives those guys a blank check and says, just don't leave. Because I love these guys. These guys know what they're doing. And also the writers, Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, they've written all the Captain America movies. They've written all the Captain America movies, I think, and then Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. They also wrote Thor: The Dark World, but like they wrote that before this, and I don't know what happened there, but they've all done really good jobs as far as like both directing and writing for these movies. But let's talk about Winter Soldier, man. Like, this to me is one of the best action movies ever made. It's one of the best comic book movies ever made. It's one of the best like political thrillers in the last 10 years. If you tell me this isn't a political thriller, it's a comic version of a political thriller. Okay, you got bigger than life characters, but with the same kind of story we've been told a bunch of other times, just with superheroes. And it just blows me away how much I had a smile on my face watching this all the way from beginning to end. Some even times even bigger smiles. Like, man, I felt like I was gonna cheese out watching this. It'd been a little while, and I never get over how much this movie just amazes me as far as like entertainment value. I mean, right from the beginning though, they make this smart move to just have it a quiet moment, and where Steve is running, and we get introduced to Sam Wilson. It's this quiet moment, and then they talk to each other. And it's great. They already are building a great rapport, from they have chemistry right from jump. And then you get, Black Widow comes in, and it's just this quiet moment where he's about to go on a mission, but he hasn't done it. Most movies like this, sequels especially, jump and they throw you right into the action, like right away. They give you almost no time to breathe because they want you to know you're watching the sequel to the movie you like. But this, it gives it that beat, man. To just reintroduce us to Steve and what Steve's like. Oh yeah, he's this genuine, no sarcasm, honest dude who just wants to do good. And it's just cool. And you get the gist right off the bat that Anthony Mackie's Sam Wilson's a cool, cocky, paratrooper who can give as well as he gets, even if he can't, run as fast as Steve. And then you get Black Widow, who just pulls up in that fucking black sports car, and just Anthony Mackie looking in to the car, seeing Steve sitting next to her. She's all hot, and he's like, "How you doing?" And she's like, "Hey," and Steve knowing what he's looking at. You know what I mean? Steve seeing this look, this kind of starstruck look on this guy's face, and just being like, I can't run everywhere. I mean, come on. And then boom, that first action set piece on the boats. Right from get-go. I mean, they're having cool conversations about, just funny conversations about, like, dating and stuff as he just jumps out the back of the helicopter. And that whole sequence just so fun. I mean, every time he throws the shield, man, I feel it. It's like, boom, oh. I mean, just him knocking dudes off the freaking boat and sending guys flying. It's just so much fun. And I still, like, as I'm talking about it, I can't believe I'm talking about a Captain America movie. And then, you get to, you meet this Batroc guy, who in the comics is Batroc the Leaper, who, like, look, man, Batroc the Leaper. I mean, he must have come out, if you see him in the comic books, he is way more, what's the word I'm like, garish? Where he's very just... His costume is simple, but really just too much at the same time. And his power is leaping. He's basically like a less slimy toad. So I guess he's a French frog. I don't know. Oh my God, I'm going to make myself choke. So, I love France. I've never been. Seems like a great place. But that sequence too, where it's just one-on-one fight, and just, Steve puts the shield up and just wipes the floor with this guy. And Black Widow in all this, just, they keep, like, they've given us a lot of Black Widow over the period of time that the MCU's been going, right? I mean, I know she deserves her own movie. It should have happened already. But I mean, I'm telling you, she's basically the co-star of this movie. They give her so much, and Scarlett Johansson is owning this. This is where she really finds the character to me. This is where she really figures shit out to how to play this, because they gave her a good script, a good story, and she just keeps opening up, like I said, like a flower. More and more layers are getting peeled off of this character. And it's just so cool to see Scarlett Johansson in something that just, this is going to be what she's remembered for. She can win Oscars and other things, but I mean, and hopefully they get that damn movie done. But this is what she's going to really be remembered for. And that's not a bad thing. People say there's not enough badass women characters, and everybody, blowing their loads over Wonder Woman. We had Black Widow before Wonder Woman came around, okay? And she was kicking ass just fine. I'm not saying we don't still also need Wonder Woman. I'm just saying Black Widow was first. And, oh man, there were some things I was going to say about comparing Wonder Woman to Black Widow, but I'm not going to do that because I know better sometimes. So yeah, I mean, through this whole movie, her role of, kind of talking shit to Steve and having her whole world pulled out from under her is just so great. How she handles it with the whole thing with Nick Fury. So yeah, let's just go on. I think I forgot to say full fucking spoilers, so full effing spoilers. Even when she handles, if you haven't seen this movie, get off your ass. So when Nick, Fury supposedly dies, but we'll... all these things, it's hard to talk about in a linear fashion without me going off on tangents and making like a 2-hour video, especially about this movie. So we'll stop there with Natasha's story and also go to like the whole world that Cap lives in now with Nick Fury, and seeing all this and telling him about fear, that this is about fear, not about, safety anymore. And Nick Fury figuring that out pretty quickly when he's locked out of his own systems. I also love, let's just talk about Robert Redford too. No good villains in the MCU, huh? I'm sorry. When you have Robert Redford in your freaking movie, an icon of 1970s political thrillers in your movie, you're automatically more legitimized. And when you give him good shit, I mean, come on, he's just a guy in a suit. He kills, like when he does get violent, it's still so businesslike. And I love that. And every little moment, if you watch his face, little just notices when somebody says something, he goes like, like, it's just so good. This is like one of Robert Redford's better performances in the last 20 years. And it's been a long time, let's face it. I mean, he's been in some good stuff, but I mean, this is like, I really love it because he's not Shatnering it up. He's giving us gold Robert Redford. They wrote it down on the page. I'm sure that once they said, hey, we got Redford, right for Redford. And he gives him everything. And he's only in a couple like areas. Like he's in that freaking building for most of it. Then he has like a little shot at home and a couple little other places. But mostly he's in that damn room. Think about it. Has to do all that shit and it just be memorable as hell. Now, since we already said full spoilers, one thing I'm surprised about his character. This movie's 5 years old, so don't worry about me jumping all over the place. Is that there was a cartoon called Marvel's The Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes that lasted 2 seasons. And probably like around 50 episodes or something now. That's how they do it with cartoons. But there was a storyline where a guy named, it'd been bugging me forever since this movie came out. In the cartoon called Del Rusk, and he was like a politician. And in that cartoon, after he's taken down, and I don't know if he's dead or not or whatever, but it's revealed that this politician, and it was a Captain America story that they were doing, and it was revealed that the Rusk part of him, the Del Rusk, was just a mask, and underneath was the Red Skull. And since we didn't know what had happened to Red Skull, was he obliterated? Where was he taken? And Infinity War hadn't come out yet. So I didn't know what was going on with Red Skull. All I knew is that it's Red Skull. He's not really dead. Well, all characters, but Red Skull was going to show up again. And when I saw the Pierce character, I was like, oh shit, are they going to do a Del Rusk and have this guy all of a sudden be Red Skull at the end of this movie? And they didn't go that route. And they must, maybe they were aware of the cartoon, or maybe they took inspiration from the cartoon to create Alexander Pierce's character. Either way, I mean, I think they had to know of it. And part of me wishes that that's what happened, but like now after Infinity War, I'm glad. I mean, it's a pretty cool, really invested thing that they do with Red Skull. But part of me is still kind of like, man, wouldn't it have been cool if at the end when Redford's dying, all of a sudden like the mask comes off and it's like really Red Skull and he's, whatever. But maybe they were afraid that would just start off another movie that they weren't prepared to make. But yeah, Redford again. And Samuel L. Jackson. Sam Jackson gets one of the best action scenes in the movie. And not just an action scene, but look, Fast and the Furious, I don't like those movies, but they're good at making insane car chases, right? I'm not going to deny that. And this just shows, man, not every, like they don't own car chases. Like you want to talk about an intense car situation from the very beginning with him thinking he's being profiled by the two cops to just being T-boned and then being sandwiched and completely surrounded by guys who are about to kill him, blasting through his doors, getting out freaking, battering rams to get him out, where he blows everybody away that's in his way and flies down the road. And it's just one of the most cool car chases in a long time for a movie like this that isn't, you didn't necessarily expect a car chase in. You see Fast and the Furious, if you didn't see a car chase in that movie, you'd want your money back. In this, it's not automatically something that you think of, but when they did it, they knocked it out of the frickin' park. And it wasn't the first time, though. There's later on with more cars that they did a great job at. A lot of great vehicle stunt work in this movie. But then I do have a problem with this. Is like when Sam Jackson makes the hole in the ground and jumps in and Bucky sees it. Great introduction too. I mean, come on. He's coming out of this like smoke. He's kind of like hazy and shit. And there's a dude standing in the road who fires a fucking sticky grenade to the bottom of your car, which explodes. It flies by him and they show the Winter Soldier. What a great way to introduce that character. But when he sees the hole, right, and then he leaves, you could see him, like the light reflecting in the car as Bucky's walking up. Why didn't Bucky go in after him? Why did they choose to write it that way? Like, I would think the Winter Soldier is all about the mission, right? And his mission right then was Nick Fury. So why didn't he jump in that hole? Anyway, but I mean, I know that they got like a story to get to, but sometimes the way they write around things is bizarre, even in movies that I love. But then you get right after that. I mean, there's not a boring scene in this movie. We're introduced to Agent Carter, Agent 13, that's right. Sharon Carter, which Steve doesn't know she's a Carter yet. And this is, I like Emily Van Camp. Unfortunately, I don't like anything she's been in. And I've seen Revenge and The Resident. God help me, I watched a little bit of that just to see if she was any good in it. But she's good in this. And that whole scene with him and Nick Fury, Captain America in his apartment, where then there's the other introduction to the real Winter Soldier, Cap and him facing off. And it keeps going to the death of Nick Fury, the supposed death of Nick Fury, to just the games that Steve feels Natasha's playing with him and not understanding what's going on, and Pierce threatening him without threatening him. And just then they get to the elevator scene. And come on, I mean, you know what's about to happen, but it gets him one of the best lines. I mean, I wanted to play a clip of it, which was like, anybody Before this whole thing gets started, does anybody want to get off? I love that. I just love that. And then he just owns everybody in that elevator. It just one thing after another. And I mean, okay, so then he gets away with Natasha and they go to the bunker. The guy, like, it's little comedy bits in here, little bits of nice writing, you know, where she's making him feel uncomfortable about the whole "is this your first kiss" thing. It's great banter. They have great chemistry, but it's also not one of those will they or won't they. You don't really want them to. You just enjoy the fact that they mutually respect each other, and there's some flirting sometimes. But then they get to the bunker and you find out Zola's there and it's like a robot form, like War Games. Even, and she mentions it. I love the smile on her face when she says, "Would you like to play a game?" I can just keep gushing, recapping this whole freaking movie, but I don't want to just say scene by scene what's going on. But it can't help it, right? So then they almost get blown up, and Remlo, you know, Frank Grillo as Remlo is really great. Hopefully we will maybe see him after Avengers Endgame and stuff. Even though what happens in Civil War, we'll get to that. But Frank Grillo, he's great. And then when they get back and you find out, you know, they get taken. First they find Sitwell, and that's great. They push him off the roof, and again they have time for that little dialogue about how Cap's not ready to go out with a girl with a lip ring or something. To getting Sitwell, the Gary Shandling, one of his last appearances again in this movie after being in Iron Man 2, revealing that him and Sitwell, you know, are Hydra. Well, we already knew Sitwell was, but that's also kind of a big deal too. Sitwell being like a bad guy, because he's been kind of a through line a little bit too. We've seen him here and there. He's not as big as Coulson, but you know, it's just another one of those things where him and Coulson were like tight. And if you watch like some of these short films that they did, Sitwell was kind of a part of it. Seeing Gary Shandling be a Hydra, that was just a cherry on top of the cake. But then when they have the car scene and Sitwell gets thrown out of the car in front of the fucking bus or truck or whatever it was, that's just so amazing. Just to that whole car scene, to Natasha being a super spy and knowing what to do and, like, you know, not letting the Winter Soldier get one over on her, jumping on his ass with the wire. And then the great fight between him and Cap. I mean, I'm just naming things at this point, but great hand-to-hand combat. And then, you know, you have the big epic piece at the end with the whole, you know, him getting on the helicarriers and Black Widow revealing that she's really one of the council members. I mean, the first time I saw that was just badass. But it also almost is kind of like a prelude to Ghost in the Shell, because when she takes off the like fake thing, it looked totally like Ghost in the Shell, which is another video that I'm really itching to make, is a Ghost in the Shell video, because I've got a kind of a bug up my ass about how people talk about that movie or feel about that movie. But that's another video for another day. Sam Jackson showing up and having the retinal scan in his bad eye. I mean, this movie is not just all those things I've said before. It's just fucking cool. I mean, it's so cool that it even has a reference to Pulp Fiction at the end and Samuel L. Jackson's supposed grave of Nick Fury. Come on. Falcon gets his moment to shine. And those effects and the look of it all, where they're firing at him, even though I know it's all CGI, it's badass. And again, you know, just like the first movie, Cap goes down with a ship to save his friend, to do the right thing, to eliminate the threat, even if it means that he doesn't survive it. Just the arc that they've given Cap in his movies is the best arc that any of the characters has gotten. Iron Man's arc is messy. It's just, I enjoy the movies. I love Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, but his arc is just kind of all over the place. And Thor's, Jesus, well, let's say 3 different movies, 3 different tones. You know, Ragnarok is great, but as far as an arc goes, not really. But Cap's arc is so well defined and so well executed that it's just hard to not say, how can, you know, this not, you know, the Cap movies not be on everybody's list? And even though Captain America, the First Avenger is kind of a nostalgic throwback movie, it had to be like that. It had to be like that for these movies to progress and be even, to get better. It had to have that stark difference between that one and this one. God, the genie was on there for a second. I think that was important for it to be like that. And Jesus, let's go. So anyway, by the end of this movie, you know, they do the thing at the very end where I don't understand why the placement of the end credit scenes. The very last end credit scene, you know, the very last thing is Bucky going to the Smithsonian, looking at his old self, and there being tense music. That is not what you stay to the end credits for. You put that in the middle, because the middle had that great scene with Von Strucker, who was criminal. Like this, that's one of their fuck ups in this, is about the handling of Von Strucker, Baron Von Strucker. That is just. But anyway, this is our introduction to Baron Von Strucker before we get to Age of Ultron. It's also our introduction to Quicksilver and Elizabeth Olsen's Scarlet Witch. Elizabeth Olsen. Jesus. But it's our introduction to them. And it's a big scene. And it's talking about, they got Loki's staff. That's the shit you put at the end of the movie. Are you afraid that people aren't going to get up out of their seats? Have you been to a Marvel movie? Everybody stays to the end, man. The first time you watch it, the first week of, couple of weeks of this movie, everybody stays till the end. Put the good shit at the end. Put the regular stuff that should be in the middle, which is Bucky visiting the museum. Put it there. Anyway, because I hadn't remembered how this movie, how the end credits were in this. In fact, I thought the Ant-Man thing was at the end of this movie. But I love how this movie ends. They're playing Trouble Man. They're showing where everybody's at, where everybody's going, and it just gives you that perfect quiet ending again. They're just at the grave. They're talking about Bucky. Nick's telling him what he's going to do. Natasha says what she's going to do. Cap says what he's going to do. And Falcon goes, when do we start? Boom, end of the movie. And come on. And then you get these great animated end credits too. So I just can't say enough good things about this movie. This is just, I got the poster over there. I got Cap all over my walls, and I'm pointing it at here, but I wish I could have done it in front of my posters instead, but that's okay. Anyway, that's Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I love this movie. I hope you love it too. Otherwise, I hope if you liked this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, all that rigmarole. Otherwise, this is Robert Smirking Gun Review saying we'll be back with the Guardians of the Galaxy. That's the next MCU movie. Kind of crazy, we're already at Guardians of the Galaxy. But in a little bit, we'll be putting up Deadly Class Season 1, Episode 7, the penultimate episode of Season 1. So anyway, have a great night. Thanks for watching this. Thanks for all the support. I really hope you guys like this video, and we will see you later. Bye.